Countdown.
55, gonna dive down low. Had a jump on the binders to keep us spinning the 14W, Whiting out. Weinberger already 3 wide in the middle of the pack in the Superman cars. AC Rhodes up in the cushion, trying to make something happen with that truck, putting some power on the ground. Dustin Keating, Keating's gonna go over the number 7. Big wreck on lap number 1 down in turn number 4. A light rollover. Hopefully that car isn't damaged too much. You see a lot of movement there in the rear end on the bottom of that race car. Great job, cameraman Alex down there on the slow-mo replay. Fantastic camera work right there.
Drake has got to be looking next to him going, wow, what is that kid with the great motor got? You know, the advantage right now, I'd say from what I've seen so far, the high side has been the faster way around on these track conditions.
Oh, wow. Well, welcome back to the Moxie studio here in Albany, race fans. Once again, being joined with my co-host, Josh Warbus, your announcer at Sunset Speedway. My name is Corey Penfold, track announcer at Willamette Speedway, and kind of the big guy over here at Moxie Media Promotions. But Josh, great to have you. Today didn't work out, you know, kind of like we wanted it to. You rained out up at Sunset for the 30th annual, you know, the season opener. You come down south. We got in some qualifying and brought the rain with you. But so anybody that wants to blame that rain out on anybody, blame it on Josh. He brought it from the north.
Well, you know, we tried the hardest we could. I think Mother Nature has it in for us that we're going to go ahead and do the 30th anniversary opener on the 30th next week. So I think that'll be a good thing. You know, I know some of the drivers and stuff kind of praise a little bit. You know, want to have another week to get ready. You know, so they can come out there, you know, tenfold and have that. But you know, it was fun coming down here. It was great to see some of the fans and stuff that did show up at Willamette Speedway.
Something you just hit on real quick: the extra week of preparation. There's still a lot of guys that don't have cars done. I mean, there's a lot that goes in to these cars. You know, a lot of guys will wait till towards the end of the season to start ordering parts and bending bodies and stuff like that. And you know, this kind of weather, typical Northwest weather in April. Nobody's surprised. Disappointed, yes. Surprised, no. But
yeah,
that's kind of how it goes in our region of the nation, you know, in the country with our weather patterns we have here. And it's unfortunate. A lot of guys showed up. You know, it's been an interesting season. I mean, only one race in, but it's been a lot of fun already. We've had a lot of compliments, and let's kind of, before we even start talking about tonight, let's go back to last week. I know we're about a week late on this deal, but you know, we were kind of watching to see what happened. But we're going to go back to the season opener last week at Willamette Speedway, and first and foremost, let's talk about the crowd that showed up.
Man,
does that not say a lot about what race fans are looking forward to in 2016?
We still had fans coming in prior to heat races. We had a line still all the way out in the parking lot. That place was extremely packed. I think it was standing room only, really, and there were still people underneath the grandstand stuff watching by the time the end of the main event. It was a huge packed house.
Well, if that's any indication of what 2016 is going to be like at our local dirt tracks, man, I'll tell you, I'm excited for the sponsors on the cars. I'm excited for the drivers and the teams, and for us as announcers, it's always fun to have the big crowds to work with, and it's going to be an awesome season. If that is any indication at all of what we're going to experience, it's going to be an awesome year.
Right. It was almost like we're anticipating as much. You were talking about the energy, you know, from our earlier broadcasts that we've had through the year, through the off season. We're talking about the energy of this 2016 season, talking about how people are so excited that there's something in the air getting ready for this season for whatever reason. You know, a lot of people are changing divisions. Some people are racing, you know, late models and now are racing modifieds. Some people are, you know, back and forth. Modifieds now into late models or street stocks or whatever. But a lot of people are excited for this. Like you said today, we were kind of talking off air, is that your phone blew up trying to figure out, you know, what we were going to do and who was going to go where. Well, we talked about last week and how, you went back to Willamette and, how now I'm the new announcer up at Sunset. And you talk about today kind of hitting on that point, having a rain out. My phone was blowing up going, we going to race? Are we going to race? I'm like, 9 o'clock today. We actually canceled. But
got a little frustrating at times, but, and that's kind of in the position that we're in. People kind of count on us to relay the news from our respective tracks or wherever we're going to be at. And, it's not that we don't like doing it. It's part of the job. It comes with it. We don't mind doing it. But when you're trying to get the information out and there's, 300 text messages come in an hour, it's make you want to pull your hair out a little bit.
Well, you talk about the fans there at Willamette Speedway and what a great first season opener. Cabin fever opener for Willamette Speedway. Car count was 77.
77 cars. That's a good start.
That was a great start. Having, a packed house in the atmosphere and everything there was warm and welcoming.
Warm indeed. It was a big change in weather from last week to this week.
They definitely were excited that you came back there. Got a lot of compliments and stuff, saying, thanking that you came back. So
I'm just honored that they would ask me. Willamette Speedway's always had a history of good announcers, and last year the same thing with Steve, great guy.
Yeah,
been around racing a long time, knows what he's talking about. It's fun though to get back up in the booth at the big track. Had a great time at Sunset. Talk about a loyal crowd. Those guys at Sunset, you're in for a treat. You got a really neat thing going up north there at Sunset. It's gonna be a fun year for you. But to all those the fans that came out last week and even tonight who sat through about an hour worth of rain delay before we actually called it, we want to say thanks to those guys. Just an awesome deal. I mean, dedicated fans. And there wasn't a whole bunch tonight, but they were real race fans to sit through that weather and get soaked. And
that's right.
Unfortunately, Mother Nature had other ideas.
Talking to, right before they actually canceled, John Campos, Lightning John Campos, and Joey Tanner actually came over to talk to the fans a little bit, checking out the track. But, this is what dirt drivers do. They don't care. They don't want to sit back there in the pits. They want to interact with the fans. It actually came over and had the opportunity to sit down there for, a couple minutes and talk to them and kind of have a little battle between, how many fans does Joey Tanner have, and half of the crowd and stuff went off, and how many fans does John Campos have, and half of the crowd went off, but these, like you said, these are dedicated fans. I talked about, if they're asphalt fans, nothing bad about asphalt, but those guys would be home on the couch with their Snuggies, watching, Netflix or whatever, and not sitting there, drinking a, ice cold Budweiser, drinking their hot chocolate and stuff, and even the kids and stuff were sitting there waiting for the rain to go by, and they're racing, up and down.
Yeah, they put on just a bit of a show of some of the cars tonight with the races we saw, up against the wall, the kids running back and forth. But it was fun.
Great turnout, though. I
just wish we could have got the race in, because this is the part we don't like, having to get there and unload and get all the equipment up and running.
Yeah.
The communication system, and then do our pit walk. And, the fans come to see a show. They didn't get one tonight. Next week, we're going to get back at it. It's going to be a good deal for everybody. I think
hopefully we'll get our opener and stuff in, too.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think Mother Nature's ready for the 30th on the 30th. I think that's the plan.
You guys are itching to go up there.
We're amped.
And we had quite a few guys, contact us. Hey, what's the weather like, down there? Are we coming down to race? Give it, whether they want to take that risk or not.
It was a give and take, yeah, absolutely.
It was a 50-50 chance, and unfortunately, it ended up being a 75% chance against us. But that's the way it goes.
We're dirt racers. We'll try anything.
Last weekend at Willamette, let's kind of talk about some of the division winners. In the features, what we saw. We saw, the Hornet class, a growing class at Willamette. We only had two on hand: Tracy Muse and Barry Lampert.
Yep.
But they put on a pretty good show in the Trophy Dash, and then after that, it was all It was all Muse.
He just kind of ran away with it. I mean, he's got a fast car, though, and he, even though there are two, they definitely put on a good show. I mean, this is an easy class to get into. It's very inexpensive. They don't do a bunch to these cars. They put a roll cage in it, and they go.
It's entry-level racing.
Absolutely.
For someone that wants to go out and get on the dirt tracks and learn how to race and learn how to drive, it's a great class. It's a great way to do it. We'll see what happens with Willamette. Now, we've had the four-cylinder class, if you will, the mini trucks a couple years ago, and it just didn't grow, I think, like the track expected. So they're going to give it one more shot this year with the Hornets, and maybe we'll see the car count raise on that. But a big win for Muse to start the season. And then you move from there to the street stocks. And
an exciting, wow.
It was
every class. I mean, I know we're going to talk about, each class and stuff, but this street stock division, oh my God. I mean, it was balls to the wall. I mean, it was hardcore racing every single lap with these guys.
Well, for the guys that were racing, because it was Justin Evans up front in the Mercury Cougar who put the power down and checked out. I mean, that old Cougar.
Mind you, though, he went and he spun out, went to the back, and came back through the field, too, to win that race.
And we kind of talked with him over the course of the winter, and especially here at the car show. We visited with him, and we talked about some of the changes they made to that car. No, they're not secrets, but they're big, big changes for that particular car, and we can see after the first race of the year, big. I mean, it was a fast car to begin with. It's better this year. Justin has got a smile. I mean,
and we know Justin's listening because he follows us. I mean, just like a lot of these racers, I mean, we have, we went, started with, a couple hundred listening to us, now to thousands. We're actually, in 4 different countries.
Well, that's the thing. I was gonna say we actually hit 4 different countries on the last broadcast. Pretty cool.
Not trying to toot our own horn, but I think that's kind of cool. But
it's pretty neat.
You talk about Justin Evans, being here. He went and we talked about, what some of the changes was, and he says, well, the first thing is we put brakes underneath the car.
Well, okay, so okay. We're not going to give away all the stuff we talked about, but this is something I want to make a point on because it was pretty cool to know that last year and the whole time he's been racing that car, he's been on drum brakes.
He's been on stock drum brakes.
Yeah, so they went
and
from the
fast.
They went from the drums to the disc, and he said it made a big change. And of course, some other stuff under the car they changed.
Private message us, and we'll tell you. No, we're not. We won't
give you. We swore the secret. We won't give your secrets away, but.
We just want to see his blood pressure rise just a little bit.
It's not like you can't walk up and look at the car and figure it out.
But. And he's not, he's not a huge secretive person. I mean, he's a big guy. He's very intimidating. But you talk about, a teddy bear. When we went down, a cool thing about him is he was part of our live in-car broadcast. That we did.
Something new that we're going to be doing this year. We actually went live.
Going to bring that up to Sunset also
with Justin. We went live into the cockpit under caution with an interview and a huge response from the crowd. I mean, whether it was through the Moxie email, the phone calls, the text messages, the private messages on Facebook. I mean, that was a big thing. And yes, race fans, we will be doing more of that this year. Just from that one response that we got, I think it's going to be something that will be worth it, and we'll bring you guys right into the cockpit of some of your favorite drivers.
You talk about, we've talked about this too, on the off season in doing these podcasts, is that we're taking all of your guys' information, all your guys' emails, on the Moxie Media 2016 at gmail.com. That's where you can send us private messages, or emails. You can hit us up on, Moxie Media Promotions on that Facebook page, message us. There's a ton of resources and stuff, and on our private pages and stuff. These are the things that you've asked us to do. And when we're able to, and when we have the ability to, mind you, hey, we're doing this all out of our pocket and everything too. We've got a great sponsor, though, we'll talk about here in a minute. It gives this opportunity to get back to the fans, to say, hey, look, instead of just watching these guys go round in circles, reason why we do driver interviews in the off season was to try to get a little bit more of what these drivers are doing in the off season. Hey, what is your struggles? Where are you at right now in your planning for the 2016 season? Drivers are like, well, this is what I'm doing, and fans are like, wow, I didn't know that they go through so much.
Well, and a conversation that I had with Justin after we did that driver interview, which was, and he said something that really made it a personal deal, was for the average fan who doesn't get to the track a lot and they see these cars week after week, say they get to the track and they start coming a lot and they see these race cars on the track, they're race cars with a number on them.
Right.
Now, you put that mic on that driver and you bring him into the cockpit, and he said
more of a personality.
He said these words that kind of made a lot of sense. He says, to the fan, now it's back to, hey, there's somebody in that car doing that, making that car do that. And I thought, that's a pretty cool point, and that's kind of exactly what we're trying to do, is bring those fans into the cockpit. And Justin put on a driving clinic last week.
Yeah, he did. That car was off the hook fast.
Yeah, that coupe was
nasty.
Up
on the cushion, making that car. He wheeled that car.
Well, that's what he does. I mean, Justin is just up here. He's just a race car driver.
Yep.
I mean, he's one of those guys that has the ability to finesse the car when it needs to on the dry slick, and when it's hot and heavy, he's one of those guys that's big enough to just muscle around and get the job done, and that's exactly what he did.
And not a common person to sit there and have those Camaros like everybody. A lot of people out there, 90% of the people out there have those Camaros. He's like, nah. He says, I'm going to have this old Cougar.
Well, the car owner, Al, old man Al, he's had that car for a long time, since the early 80s. It's been a race car, and he's had some drivers in it, and I know he's very happy with the results he gets with Justin.
Very happy.
And pretty cool to watch, to see the old. And everybody knows, if you know me, I'm a Chevy fan, but I like to see different things, and I don't mind seeing Justin do what he does in that old Cougar because it's so different.
It's so funny because you're a Chevy fan, I'm a Ford fan. You're a Beavers fan, and I'm a Duck fan. It's cool to have that, and people. I love our fans. Our fans at the racetrack are so cool. When we did our show, last year, a couple shows or whatever up at Sunset, fans are sitting there and loved, the commentary, the back and forth, and said that it was